Hey y'all, a little different today with our meeting. I will be on a field trip along with Nicole, so there's no in-person formal meeting. I know you're super disappointed today because you're like raring to go. But I wanted to go through a few things that were on my agenda just in case you didn't read them or it's easier to listen to it, that's fine. It starts with our literacy approach. So our academic vocabulary this week is estimate, examine, identify, illustrate, indicate, investigate, organize, and paraphrase. So remember, we're not like teaching vocabulary. We're seeing ways that we might be able to incorporate some of these words into the work that we're already doing so that our students can hear them from a different perspective, can utilize them in speaking and writing, in creating, and just talking, discussing the artwork itself and the process, the creative process that they're doing. And also a focus on central idea like we talked about last week. So thinking about how to pull these things out, like what's the theme? How are you getting this? Where are you pulling from this piece of music or from this film? How do you know what the artist is trying to say to you, or what are you getting out of it, and how did you get to that conclusion? And also, excuse me, in the work, if they are creating their own work, really focusing on that sort of backwards design, like what is it that you want someone who is seeing or hearing your work that you're creating, what do you want them to get from it, and how can you devise ways for them to get to that conclusion. Next item is recruiting. Please remember on a weekly basis, so set one day of the week for yourself to look at those spreadsheets and update them accordingly. So if you've had people who have applied that have previously auditioned, you can write down some notes, or vice versa. If now you've auditioned someone because they shadowed or you set something up, please indicate that in there so that I can continue to do batch outs every single week. Having said that, if you are auditioning kids, especially I know several of you have gone over to Booker Middle or have done auditions during shadows, which is awesome. You're catching lots of people, lots of kids that way. You can write their names into the spreadsheet so that Nancy and I can see who you've auditioned, and that helps us to understand how to reach out to them. Because if they're a part of Sarasota County school system, I can find their contact information, but if I don't know their name, I can't do that. So it would be of great benefit, rather than us trying to hound you down with lists and things like that. You can just add them right to the spreadsheet, and then we have access to them. Other items, just a reminder to talk to your seniors about the Fine Arts Seal, and if they're interested, I'm happy to help them with this process. If it's not something that you feel comfortable going through with them, that's totally fine. We can set up a time for them to come see me during either the 6th, 7th, mostly they're 6th or 7th, because I usually teach 8th period. And let's see, if you come across any arts related scholarships, please also send them my way. I'm trying to curate a list for our students, for our seniors. And then I think I talked about this last week, but now I can't remember. If you haven't already, start thinking about next year, because we're into 4th quarter really soon, and we need to start making plans for our season for next year. So consider things. We're going to talk about this as a group. No one is going to set this behind the scenes or anything like that. We're going to go through it as a group, because we've done a lot of reflecting about the way that the season went this year, and positive things, things that maybe we need to adjust or consider as we enter next year to make things more effective and supportive. So consider things like what time of year, what dates might you want. Consider the show times, like when they might start. We don't have to stick to 7, even, just because we have done some things a certain way doesn't always mean that we have to continue it. We have the freedom to be able to curate our own season. So just think through things like that. Consider the show run length, like how many events you might have for this one thing, how many times you have the event, how many opportunities that our patrons have to experience it. Consider your price for tickets or for donations or for material goods. That's another thing to consider if we want to get back into selling love notes. That's something that I'm going to really need to curate over the summer, as well as materials. So we had talked about like merchandise and things like that, which could be a really great way for us to sort of elevate that part of our experience. And then also please consider some collaboration opportunities. I think a lot of times when we're in our silos, it's difficult when we look at a full season, especially from a production and design standpoint. When you're looking at a full season, man, it gets really hard to get everybody's individual thing in there with enough technical support and production support to make it, you know, the best that it possibly can. So if there are ways that we can do some collaborative events, that not in a sense that we're taking away from someone's ability to highlight their student work and the genre that they're in, but how do we, you know, find ways to merge or overlap some of these things, so that our students are still getting plenty of opportunities to show off the talent that they have, but at the same time we're being really conscious about how we're using the facility, how we're using our technicians and our production and design staff, and then circling back around for next year, we're going to have to set something that's very clear about how production and design, that department, makes money, because they're the only group that doesn't do something where they're bringing money in, and yet they support all of our events. So we really do need to consider that. We threw out a couple of ideas at the end of last year, the beginning of this year, but nothing really stuck. So now that we've been in the space for a year and sort of seen some of the capabilities and possibilities, get that back into your brain so that we can hash some of that stuff out before the summer comes, because we all know that our brains turn off at that point. Okay, guys, hope you have a wonderful spring break if I don't see you in person before that. And this roughly 7-minute video hopefully suffices for your time together. Bye, guys.